On today's episode of Locked On A's, we embrace the idea of the Sacramento A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey A's fans, and welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about your Oakland A's all year long. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. As you know, I've been a baseball podcaster for a while, and this is my sixth full season here as a host of the Locked On Podcast Network. And I'm also the host of Locked On MLB. And today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code all lowercase Locked On MLB for first deposit match up to $100. Hey, if you're watching me on the YouTube right now, you follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter or whatever the hell it's called now. And same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully, but Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Okay, all the formality stuff is done. I have been, some people have said I've been too negative. Some people say I'm too positive, and some people think I'm the porridge that Goldilocks picked. I'm just right. Yesterday's show, we talked about the Sacramento A's schedule being released for the 2025 season. And today, I'm bringing on someone sight unseen. We've never talked before today. Move on up, but get a little closer. Have some people see. Yeah, there you go. He's got a handsome mug. It's Bryan Berube,
Bryan Berube.
Berube. I knew this.
It's all good.
This is how new we are. This is welcome to the show, buddy. Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
show. Let me tell you why. You know why I invited you on, but the people listening to the show have no clue why you're here. The fact of the matter is, you and I, we've been following each other. You have a site on Instagram called Sacramento Athletics Fanpage, and it's all positive about the A's moving to Sacramento. And there's been so much negativity, so much sell the team, so much hate for the Fishers. I'd say, hey. Some people are going to be happy to see this team show up. And I love your page. And by the way, this is when I knew I had to have you on, because you had on here
those look good. Dude, those look so good.
This
crispy.
This is not an official jersey. You made this.
No, I did not make that. So I tagged the creator in the photo.
Oh, right. Okay.
And his page is all about different uniforms, combinations, collabs. And so I tagged him. He's the creator. And basically this page is all things I've found from different sites. Exactly. And I just put them together on my page. Again, all positive Sacramento A's.
Well, and it's fantastic. It's a great. Here's what it is, because this year has been, as I'm here in the Bay Area, there's been so much frustration, anger, sadness, and everything. I want to have some fun with it too, and the A's playing in Sacramento can be a real positive thing, and everything you're posting here. This is why I found that your site to be a breath of fresh air, as I have my shirt behind me here. Right. But tell us a little bit about your fandom. You're in Sacramento right now. Tell us a little bit about your fandom and how you felt when you heard that the A's were heading to Sacramento, even if it's just to crash on the couch, coming to Sacramento starting next year.
Yeah, so my fandom started as a young kid. My family is actually mainly all Giants fans. And one of my best friends growing up, his family was all A's fans. So I grew up probably going to about equal amount of games, A's fans and Giants fans. So I've grown up to become a split fan, as you'd say. I do not own a split hat, but I root for both teams. And I'm really just a fan of Bay Area sports. I'm a big Niners fan. Honestly, I wasn't really a Raiders fan. And then I've always been Warriors with the Kings as well. I mean, the Kings have been terrible for basically my whole life. I'm going to turn 29. So the Kings have only been good since I started living in Sac, which has been really awesome to be a part of. And to see the culture of the city come together, going to the games. It's really fun. So I think part of that energy is what has me bringing that with the Sacramento A's as well.
And now you didn't mention the River Cats. How often do you find yourself heading over to River Cat games?
I probably go to at least like 5 or 6 per year.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I did a show just a couple weeks ago where I went to a game, and I don't know if you heard that show or not, but I was there.
I did.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, it was, I wanted to go there, especially, I mean, we're recording this, pulling the curtain back a little bit. We're recording this on Wednesday afternoon, and the A's just a couple hours ago defeated the White Sox. And this was the time they're going to be you have to have days like this on the West Coast. You have to have day game getaway days, especially when you had the White Sox are flying back to Chicago, the A's are flying to Toronto, which means you can't pull the old, well, we're mainly going to play night games scenario, because you have to play day games. You have to play getaway games. And, when I was there, I mean, my phone caught on fire. An usher actually came up to me and said, "Are you okay?" And that was not even on their hottest day. So tell me, as someone who was there, wants to roll out the green and gold carpet for them, not the red carpet. How do you respond to my biggest concerns about Sacramento baseball, which is it may be too dang hot to play a lot of games at Sutter Health Park?
Yeah, I watched that whole video, and I actually had sent it to a friend as well. And what I loved about your video, because it is just a raw, honest perspective. I didn't know if that was your first time there or if that was your first time.
It was.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you intentionally went on a day game when it was hot. Yeah. And I know you said another fan was like, "Oh, it's going to be hotter tomorrow." And like it really was. So what I really loved about your perspective, though, was that it was honest, it was raw, it's not biased. It's what it is. You know what I mean? If you go sit in one spot while getting baked on the sun, it doesn't last long before you're covered in sweat. I know for me. I guess my thing, like you said, you got to have these day games. I guess it would be like, can you have morning games? I don't know. I guess if the game's going on while people are working.
That's so funny. I never thought of that. Yeah, let's start it at 9 a.m. Why not?
I'm serious. So it's funny.
I am too. I think that's amazing.
Totally bizarre, but I kind of became a big F1 fan recently. And in the mornings to watch races in Europe, you got to watch them at 7 a.m. But I wake up early anyways, and I'm a big enough fan. I wake up to watch it. So I would think, can we have a game at 10 a.m.? You know what I mean?
You know what? That is so brilliant. That is so brilliant. Because, and I'll tell you what, I'm not kidding, because we're used to, here on the West Coast, we're used to watching games at 10 a.m. If they're playing a day game in Boston or in Baltimore or in New York, and it's a 1 o'clock start there, it's a 10 o'clock start here. Yeah. And so let's say they're playing the White Sox like they did today, they 10 a.m. start, and that's a 12 p.m. game in Chicago.
There you go. What's wrong with that?
It's so funny. It's like sometimes I love it. Bryan and I never spoke before, like 10 minutes before we started recording this. Yeah. Sometimes the solution is right there in front of you.
There you go.
Of course, just start it earlier. It's and here's why it's funny, because I've been teaching. I'm a teacher as well.
Okay.
And when I did my summer classes in Silicon Valley, we've been having a bit of a heat wave. So when I have my kids having their recess time, I said, we got to have it at 8:30 because it's still, it's warm, but it's not oppressive. And of course it's a public school, so it's on a sea of tar. And so it's basically, but man, that is like, I'm sitting here thinking about engineering feats. Do we need this? And then let's start early. What are we going to do?
Well, I mean, if you think about it too, like, if you think about the people who are going to be building the ballpark, I'm a union electrician, and so we'd start as soon as sun comes up. So we're out of there by 2:30, 2 o'clock. And the peak heat in Sacramento is really like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, to be honest with you. Like those days, it was 110, 111. It's not really hitting 110, 111 until it's like 5, 6 o'clock. When we're off work, it's still like 107, but it's still going to get hotter while we go home and do the rest of our day. So you just got to get it done early. Yeah, that would be my thing, is to early games.
All right, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about some of the practicalities of Sacramento, and then a little bit about why I think they're going to be sticking around. Hey, let's hear from our friends over at Liquid IV. You got to stay hydrated if you're going to be watching baseball, especially in August. So how are you going to stay hydrated? From eating ice cream out of one of those plastic helmets, by pounding sodas? No, you got to use Liquid IV. When you're taking in America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's popsicle firecracker flavor, a surefire summer hit. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. If you like flavors, we got flavors. Blast off with the iconic summer flavor of popsicle firecracker, a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon, lime, tart cherry, and raspberry flavors. Find all your favorite flavors on the website, from acai berry and lemon lime to pina colada, and you had me at raspberry. Tear, pour, live more. 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Powered by LIV Hydroscience, and optimized and trademarked ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, always vegan, always gluten-free, always dairy-free, always soy-free, always worry-free. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula of winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your #1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices that you want them at, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Thanks so much for making Locked On A's your first listen today. For your second listen, listen to me, your pal Sully, at Locked On MLB. I do 2 shows a day, and I'm here to provide you national daily expertise with, I try to keep it a little light. And to get you ready for the Major League Baseball playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with me, your pal Sully. I've got it covered every single day at Locked On MLB. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. All right, we're here with Bryan Berube.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it.
I'm batting 500 now. And by all means, you have to, if you're an A's fan, you got to start following his Instagram account.
Yes.
It'll give you a tiny bit of hope. It's little bits of hope here and there. We need that. We need that big time. And all right, I've been adamant on the show that I do not think the Vegas move is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't have the money, they don't have the enthusiasm, they don't have they got nothing. They got nothing.
Right.
I do think Sacramento makes more sense than Las Vegas because they siphon off some of the A's fans, and we have seen that there is sports enthusiasm. I remember I went to a game at the old Arco Arena back in the 1990s, and this is when the Warriors stunk. And I went to a game. I said, I've never been to a game in Sacramento. And I figured, well, no one's going to be there. It's freaking the Sacramento Kings. And it was packed to the rafters.
Right.
And the place was going crazy for the Kings.
Yeah.
And sometimes for some cities like Green Bay, like Sacramento, where it happened with the Sharks down the 101 in San Jose, when their entire identity can be around their sports team. I think Sacramento would embrace the team if they felt they were going to stick around. Tell me your thoughts of Sacramento as a sports town, and tell everyone why I'm right.
Yeah, absolutely. So first thing I want to get to is, your shout out for everyone coming and following my page. I think you were a prime example, Sully, because I saw tidbits of positivity in your shows. In fact, you said, you know what, I think I'm pretty almost confident that they're going to end up staying in Sacramento. And I was like, man, I got to find him on Instagram. I got to follow him with my page. And then it worked back. Yeah. And I texted my friend. He followed back. But anyways, it was perfect because what I've seen too I'm a big comment reader on other posts, and people are saying, Sac sucks. This sucks. Who wants to go to Sac? All this. And I've been living here for the last 6-7 years. Is if there's a lot of people that might know nothing about Sacramento besides the fact that they've heard about it. And it's like an old cow town. There's nothing to do. Mm-hmm. I want that person who knows nothing about Sacramento, or all they've done is read the negatives, and they come to my page and they see the highlights of the city, the river, the stadium, the views, the Tower Bridge, and I want them to be like, oh wow, this is kind of cool actually. You know what I mean? Like there actually might be something here. So that's what I want my page to be, is for all those people that know nothing about Sacramento, or all they've heard is negative, come to my page and be like, oh wow, this is pretty awesome.
Well, and I'll tell you something. You made an equivalency. I'm going to compliment you for a second. You made equivalency on your page to where Sutter Health Park is located, and how a park could be situated where it could open up to downtown Sacramento with those bridges. And you made an equivalency to PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Which, when you look at the view, I've never been to PNC Park. I went to the old Three Rivers Stadium, which was the multi-purpose park that the Pirates and the Steelers shared. So I've not been to the new park, but every time I see it on TV, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning
it's incredible.
And it opens up to the city. Where Sutter Health Park is now is right across the bridge from downtown Sacramento, and basically right down the street from the Capitol. And the Capitol Mall and everything there is, you could get those great drone shots or blimp shots or whatever. Yeah. I'm aging myself by calling them blimp shots. But where it's not like where the Arco Arena was somewhere in a cow pasture.
Out in the middle of nowhere on your way to the airport, out in Woodland. Not really, but it's out in Natomas. There's nothing out there.
But where Sutter Health is, like, I was walking around as I was melting. There's the slight detail there. It is. But where I was sitting there, it's like, if this could be designed, if you could come up with the architecture that has like overhang, and
I thought that was smart. You gotta have awnings.
You have the awnings, maybe not too different from. Maybe it doesn't even have to be domed, but kind of like the old Cowboys Stadium, where they had in Irving, where it was kind of they had
a cutout in the middle. Yeah,
they open the top and sort of cut out, but you have to have the shade. You have to have the shade, but you have this beautiful view. Sacramento's a really nice small city that is the exact kind of city that has two things. There are a lot of people that actually has three things. They have people who have been there for generations. It's not like a lot of transplanted people who live there. There are generations who have been in Sacramento. They have pride of their city with a little bit of chip on the shoulder, which is one of the reasons why the Sharks succeeded in San Jose. Like, okay, now we're here. Now we're on the map. But also, and don't take this the wrong way, there are fewer entertainment options in Sacramento than in Las Vegas. I don't know if you noticed that.
I don't know, really.
So having that, we saw the Kings have been a success. Even when they're not doing particularly well. Yeah. And that's the ideal that's like a Venn diagram of what you want. It's why that's why I think Sacramento is a better place. That's why I think of all the locations. I'll let you talk in a second. Don't worry. But all the locations of that people think for a potential expansion team, I think Nashville and Portland make the most sense because of the deeply rooted populations they have there. But the more I think about it, the population of Sacramento, plus they could still get some siphoning off of the A's fans who refuse to become Giant fans, of which there will be many.
Absolutely.
I'm getting more enthusiastic about this, especially if
there
they
we go.
To hell with the Las Vegas move. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Am I wrong?
No, not at all. I think you're totally right. And I tell you, Nashville, I've never been, but it seems like an awesome place to be.
It is.
And I think
it's great.
It's kind of crazy they don't have like an NBA team or MLB team. So I think that's definitely. But I think for the A's, Sacramento is a no-brainer because if you the one thing Sacramento has compared to Portland or Nashville is, does Nashville really want the A's or do they want their own team?
Right.
Do they want their own branded team, or do they really want the A's? Does Vegas want the A's, or do they want to modify the lettering? Do they want to modify this? You know what I mean? Do they want to put a black and gold into the logos? Right. And does Portland want the A's? Do they want the exact same A's? What I'll say is I grew up in Auburn, about 30 minutes towards Tahoe, and I loved growing up with friends being Raiders fans. I was Niners fans, or friends being A's fans. I was Giants fans, and that rivalry smack talk. And the A's staying in Sacramento, nobody wants to change anything about the A's. We don't really, I mean, sure, would an expansion team be cool? Yeah, nobody really thought we'd be getting the A's until like 6 months ago. So now it's like, yeah, we'll take the A's. We don't need to change anything about them. We're all huge A's fans out here. And you think, how much easier is it for someone who lives in Auburn, 30 minutes to Sac to a game, instead of like, yeah, we'll make the hour-and-a-half trip to the Bay, the parking, the hassle. I don't know. Maybe once or twice a year. Now it's Sacramento. It's like, oh, we'll go to a handful of games. You know, the people in Roseville, 20 minutes away. People in El Dorado Hills, 20 minutes away. And that's a lot of people in El Dorado Hills, Folsom, and Roseville. A lot of people, and a lot of baseball fans.
Yeah, I never thought of it in terms of that there's used to that. Sacramento is kind of like, I mean, I grew up in the Northeast, and if you go to Connecticut, and Connecticut is smack dab between Massachusetts and New York, so you get a whole state. Whereas I'm a Red Sox fan, I'm a Met fan, I'm a Yankee fan. You know, like it kind of all, you know, that sense of fluidity of fandom is there. But you also make a point, and when we come back, I want to talk about this because I think this could make. I'm getting excited about this. I think this could make. When we come back, I want to talk about the region. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. With PrizePicks, in the end, it's really that easy. Thanks for making Locked On A's your first listen. Now check out my other show, Locked On MLB. Prepare for the Fall Classic with me, your pal Sully. I've got it covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description below, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. All right, Brian, say your last name.
Berube.
Berube.
Berube is where it eventually had come from.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, you're Brian, and tell people where your page is on Instagram again.
It's at Sacramento Athletics fan page.
There's
not many of them, so you should.
And I'll put it in the description, both at YouTube and if you're listening to there. So please follow it, because here's something it's funny. You and I did not prep a lot of this. I said we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna see where this goes. You brought up something that I'm going to make a comparison to the Angels, and one of the reasons why the Angels draw well, despite the fact that they I almost said a word that would get me an explicit rating. They flushed away the primes of Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. They, especially since since the Rams left, that they redesigned their park to be baseball only. The Angels draw very well, and they get very good television ratings. And one reason is there's a lot of places, Anaheim, Irvine, but then they'll dig into Riverside County, San Bernardino County, and Orange County, where they don't identify with Los Angeles. They don't want to identify with Los Angeles. That's a whole very populous, very wealthy region between Long Beach and San Diego, where they said, we're not LA, which is one reason they had a chip on their shoulder when the Angels changed their name. But they catered to them. And that's one reason why they draw well. The A's could do something similar. There's a lot of people in the Northern California who don't associate with San Francisco. So not just Oakland, Sacramento, Stockton, Modesto, Davis, all those regions up there, the A's could be, all right, they don't have the sexy city like San Francisco, but they could be the team of that whole region. And I think if they were smart, they would do that. They would be a big regional team, and they would have the success, maybe not of the Dodgers or the Giants, but of the Angels, who, okay, maybe not on the field, but in terms of the box office, in terms of the TV, they do really, really well. Right.
And I think it's kind of like that old saying, if you build it, they will come. And for me, what gets me really excited about the Sac A's, and what I said, there's 33 acres right there next to the water that, by the way, part of that is the parking lot that h-vac owns with the River Cats. So
I know it's great. I mean? Yeah.
And it's literally like, it's an open slate. There's nothing there. And so what you could do is, I like to go out, I go on my runs throughout the city, and I'll go through West Sac and back, and on the weekend,
West Sac and back. There you go.
West Sac and back, because it's such a different city. It's so far. You know what I mean? I love it when people are like, "It's West Sacramento, not Sacramento." But anyways, there's people on the river jet skiing, on the boats. You hear their music bumping. It's loud. We have the Sac Brew boat that goes and takes people on tours. You can just go down the river and back. You can take like a little charter tour down the river and back. So there's lots of boats. There's a lot of action going on along the river. And so you put that stadium right there on the water. If you could set it up to where you could get a splash hit into the river, all of a sudden that river's got kayakers out there, jet skiers, boaters. It's popping on the water, and it's just going to be like a lively entertainment area. And again, the city might not be as tall as New York or San Francisco, but I will say
it has character. It has character.
And it has the potential to like double in size in the next like 10, 15 years. There's a lot of open land in the rail yards area as well. They were talking about they want to build an MLS stadium if we were to get the Republic. So there's a lot of open land and opportunity in Sacramento to build a stadium.
Well, and I'll tell you another thing. I mean, you made a bunch of great points. And if they can get an architect to create the stadium where it's not domed, you get the view, but you get the
like
shade.
A big awning,
like a giant awning on that. It's what the what did he say? The usher that I met at the game I went to called them the shade shifters. That they all just sort of move to the shade. Yeah. But you're right. There's a huge spot. There's a huge area there, more than enough space that you could build a ballpark. And do you know what's also around there? Apartments. There are a lot of apartments and condos. It could be that situation where it's a borderline neighborhood ballpark. Yeah. And have maybe not quite Wrigleyville, but they've done the similar thing in Anaheim, that they've built up that region. There's a lot of foot traffic to the stadium, a lot of condos to the stadium, and they could do that for the Sacramento A's.
They actually just broke ground on more apartments over in that area, right along the water. And there's also that big barn. It's kind of an entertainment / brewery, beer garden type of area, which is really great. It has tons of events, and so that's already booming with like River Cats games. A lot of people go there before or after. So that whole they call it the Bridge District of West Sacramento. There's a lot of like hotels already like proposed to go up, and so that place, you'd be surprised when the A's get there next year, and when they leave, it's going to look like a totally different West Sacramento. It really will. It's going to look different.
Let's review. The Sacramento has fans that would support the team, a place that they can build a stadium, the type of fan base and the type of community that would embrace a team that they already have some history with. Because remember, the River Cats for a while were an A's affiliate.
Yeah.
In the early 2010s, they were an A's affiliate. And so they also have many fans who are wearing the green and gold, as opposed to Las Vegas, which would not want a team like this, has no connection besides the AAA team. But let's be honest, who gives a rat's patootie about that? And I said patootie because I'm trying to avoid a explicit rating.
Right.
And there's the place where they want to build a ballpark, it doesn't really make sense. And they don't have the money.
Yeah, I think you need those things, right? You kind of need some money.
Those are little points, little details.
Yeah, and I like what you said, too. There's nobody falling over themselves to be A's fans in Vegas. There really isn't.
There are more Dodger fans there. The people who live there are Dodger fans.
There's probably more Angels fans there.
Probably right, yeah. or it's kind of like in Miami where you're going to find more Yankee and Met fans than Marlin fans.
I didn't know that, but I'm sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely it is. Because there's so many people, who move from the Northeast to retire in Florida. They don't let go of their team. But, well, look at Brian, you're getting me excited.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, Sacramento, we were the city of trees, green, lots of green in the city. We got Tower Bridge, Gold Bridge, green and gold. It's a perfect mix. Perfect match.
You're a salesman. Tell us your name and tell us your site.
Yeah, Bryan Berube, but Sacramento Athletics fan page on Instagram. That's the only place I'm at so far. But let's get this thing going. Let's build some hype up before the start of the season. We got some time.
And follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter or whatever it's called now. And on Instagram, I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Getting pumped.
Let's go. Sacramento
about a
A's.
Sacramento A's possibility.
Yeah.
Seriously. Follow the site. Brian, thanks for joining the show. This has been Locked On A's. A's are heading off to Toronto right now. We'll see how they're going to turn out. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.